Hey there, Cancer Ascendants. This is your Ascendant forecast taking you from Monday, the 8th of December, taking you right the way through to Sunday, the 14th of December, 2025. And this is, I think, a continuation of last week where I was saying we're coming to the end of the autumn pattern that was set up, towards the end of August, where we've got this repeating grand water trine. This is the week where that grand water trine starts to disappear. It's also the week where we get the very last Uranus opposition between the personal planets. By that, I'm not mentioning the moon, but I'm talking about the sun, Mars, Mercury, and Venus. We've got the very last opposition, and it's between Mercury and Uranus. So that's pretty big. We've also got Neptune going direct on the very last degree in the sign of Pisces. Now, that degree is the last degree of the whole zodiac. Now, obviously, the zodiac actually does loop. So it goes from 0 Aries right the way through to 29 Pisces. But there is something very special about this last degree. We could say it's the end of the story. And so there's a lot of endings coming. And with that comes the energy of new beginnings. So I think this is a week where there are revelations, there's a sense of release and also reorientation. So yeah, let's have a look at a deeper level. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name's Louisa. Welcome to Feel Good Astrology. Hope you like it. As ever, I'm starting by just putting a shout out to everybody that supports my channel, whether it's historically, regularly, whether you're in my community, however you are helping me. I just really thank you and honor you. It's so very much of help and assistance to me. So anyway, these are the two charts I'm looking at. This is the one for Monday the 8th of December at midnight, set in London, and this is a Western whole sign tropical model that I'm using. What I mean by that is, if when you these are known as houses, you probably already know that if you're following this channel, but these sections are known as houses. This is the first, second, third, fourth, and we're reading it from 9 o'clock if you're looking at it as a clock face. It goes all the way around to 12. Now, with a whole sign model, there is one zodiac sign in each house. Now, if when you look at your birth chart, and I'm sure you've already drawn it up, you see the sign for Cancer and also the sign for Leo in your first house, then that's your little nudge that you also need to listen to the Leo forecast, because there's going to be a lot of truth in there for you as well. So anyway, this is the first chart for Monday the 8th, and this is the one for actually it's Monday the 15th. So it takes us right the way to the end of Sunday the 14th, right at midnight, and then it goes into this one. Now you'll see that the moon is going from the sign of Cancer right the way through to the end of Libra. You'll also notice that in this week ahead, Mercury is leaving Scorpio and going into the sign of Sagittarius. And also, if you're eagle-eyed, you'll notice that Mars is limbering up. He's going to go into Capricorn next week after the 14th. And you'll also notice that at the start of this week, we've got this retrograde here. It's a tiny, tiny, minuscule R just at the foot of the symbol for Neptune. By the end of this week, both Saturn, Neptune, also Mercury, they're all completely clear. In actual fact, Mercury and Saturn, they left their retrograde a short while ago, but seeing Neptune clear is going to be great. So you can see that Neptune's going direct on the 10th and Mercury's heading into Sagittarius on the 11th. These are the most important things that I see in this week ahead. So let's go back to the beginning. I really see that on Monday the 8th, obviously the moon is just in the sign of Cancer, but it goes pretty much straight into Leo early in the morning. That means the moon is in your second house, which is all about money, how you're receiving, the kinds of things you'll do to bring value into your life, and also how do you value yourself. There's a lot of things to consider. I think self-esteem really lives in this house. And so you might be a little bit sensitive about your self-esteem. You might need to boost it up a little bit, because where the moon comes, we can get very open psychically. And one thing that I really see is on Tuesday the 9th, there is a square between Mars and Saturn that could feel a little bit nasty. And I'll explain this in just a second. But, if we consider that the moon is in Leo when this is happening. We're a little bit sensitive to our unique value. You're a little bit sensitive to how you are perceived, like, what do people think my purpose is? I don't know. and how can I feel strong in myself? Now, this time, Mars is in your 6th house, which is where you want to take action and go. It's a place where you're very functional. And it's also a place where you want to feel on top of your game, feel physically fit. But in this square to Saturn in your 9th house, you might feel a little bit like there's some painful things to learn. Like the 9th house shows us where we are expanding, where we're learning, where we might have a coach or a mentor, also where we might be adventuring. And so Saturn here Saturn's not all bad. He's very helpful when he's in these trines and conjunctions. He can really assist us to have a little bit more discipline. But as this square comes in and it's exact on the 9th, you might feel that your permission to travel as far, or your permission to learn, your energy to learn, your physical prowess, which is Mars here in the 6th house, our health is captured in here for sure. You might feel that your stamina and your vital life force just doesn't have quite that it's almost like you can't get your engine started, so you're kind of like revving up. I don't know why I'm doing this as if I've got a moped. I don't know if you can see my hands, actually. Let me just go back. Can you see my hands? Oh yeah, just in the video. So it feels like you're trying to get the party started, but you just can't quite get there. It's like you can't quite keep that energy that you need. And so this could really show where you're wanting to share information, teach information, broadcast. You're wanting to learn and you can't quite get this. What I would say is this is a time when it's really important just to kind of let go and take your foot off the gas a little bit, give yourself a bit of a break, because nobody really wins with this Mars square Saturn. In the world, Mars square Saturn can really show where there's a lot of militant energies towards authority, and there's this kind of big old authority conflict going on. And, you don't want to pick up on that. I think, when you've got the moon in the 2nd house, you're going to be wide open for anything that could damage your self-esteem. It could be wide open. And so if you're picking up on these themes of, authority is bad and it's trying to oppress me, that could actually also kind of take hold. And you'll feel even less powerful. So my advice is to stay absolutely grounded in who you know yourself to be. Recognize you've probably burnt the candle at both ends. You're temporarily out of energy. You just need to relax and unwind and recognize and deeply know that once you've rested a little bit, you'll be back on your game again, and you'll be an authority in your own right. You'll feel that sense of your own internal power. So it's not something that can be taken away, but it's something that can be conserved. And just recognize this is a time to conserve it. And soon I'm going to come back into my physical strength and feel great. Now, if you are in your physical strength, one of the things to watch out for is you might be rubbing up someone the wrong way. With that Saturn and Mars square, it's an authority conflict. So you might want to just work out, if you're wanting to push yourself forwards as an authority, just ask yourself, why am I doing this? Is this coming because I think someone is doubting me? Again, the moon is in the 2nd house. This is a time when, you can doubt your own purpose. So you might be overdoing things. So again, you might just want to sit back a little bit and watch what goes on, observe what other people are doing, and just mind your own energy. And I think you'll be feeling much better. Now, as we come into Wednesday, the 10th, we've got the moon going into the sign of Virgo. Now, this is going to be kind of interesting because the moon will come into a conjunction with the South Node between the 10th and the 11th. And during that time as well, Venus is coming into this square with the nodes, showing again that what we've struggled with in the past to get done, or, because Venus here is really showing where we're relating to the task at hand, where we're trying to get into our natural flow. And so we might be reminded of the natural flow of what we grew up with, the ideas of this is what a functional human does and this is why we do it, and blah blah blah, all that sort of instructional programming that you've taken on that helps you feel like you belong. And yet it feels a bit tight because it's not giving you the space to find your own new tempo. And so on the 10th and the 11th, as the moon is in the third house, you might find you're called to be very much in your community, and therefore it feels like you need to kind of pick up your community programming and wear it like a coat, like you put your arms in, you put your hat on, and everyone recognizes you because you've got that same narrative, you've got that same behavior set, but it feels really tight. Also on this day, on the 10th, that's Wednesday the 10th, this is the day when Mercury goes into the opposition with Uranus for the last time. Mercury is in the fifth house, really showing that you're wanting to really be your own creator. You're not wanting other people to determine how you can or can't create. And Uranus in opposition is really showing up that there's a bit of friction. People that or friends of friends, they're kind of saying, hey dude, you're stepping out of alignment, to what we know. So I do think there's that feeling of difficulty in being your own authority, but it will pass, and that's the most important thing. And then on the 11th, Mercury goes into an exact trine with Neptune. Beautiful, because it brings in your imagination and your psychic energy, and it tunes you up to the vibration of you being your own creator. And then Mercury comes into the sign of Sagittarius on the 11th. And this is going to be great. I'm just going to move on to the next slide so you can see it more clearly. But as Mercury comes into the sign of Sagittarius on the 11th, that's Thursday, the 11th, you're coming into a time when you're creating a new story for yourself. You don't have to create a new story for yourself, but it just feels like the old is fading away and there's a new vibration. It's like you're feeling into the future you and kind of drawing it closer to you. So it feels good. And as Neptune goes direct as well on the 10th, there is a recalibration. So isn't it interesting that the 10th and the 11th just feels to be kind of ending those old patterns and sensing into the future, and I know it looks like I'm twiddling things. I'm tuning in to your future potential, what you're sensing for yourself. And then as we come into Friday the 12th, the moon is coming into your fourth house. That's very much about your groundedness and your family and your home. And then Saturday and Sunday, I really just see there's a recalibration. You're really reorienting yourself to this new potential. What does this mean? Well, Mercury comes into a lovely, penetrating, insightful sextile with Pluto. It feels like there is something new that you've got to offer, and you can see it goes very deep. And so there's a feeling of excitement with that. With that recognition, there's some penetrating insights coming your way. And then on Sunday the 14th, there's a couple of different things. First of all, just be aware that on Sunday the 14th, Mars, as he comes into an exact square with Neptune, can feel like the wind has just suddenly come out of your sails, like you were moving forwards and feeling really excited, and then all of a sudden that energy's disappeared. It will move, it will shift. One of the things with Mars and Neptune in a square is you can feel that sense of disillusionment, disenchantment, feel almost like a micro depression, but it will move. What it's saying is you're feeling the tension between being very physical and vital in your body, and at the same time recognizing that you're a spiritual being, and like, how do you get these working together? Really hard. You can see the potential, you can't reach it in your physical body because you're not you are a physical body and you're also a spiritual being. And so they will come back into alignment in due course. But the most important thing that we're ending this week on is the sun coming into an exact trine with Chiron. And this is the bit where I think things start to come into place. From your new perspective, as Mercury's come into Sagittarius, all the things you've been learning recently, I get that there's a new story. You are tuning into a new purpose for yourself, and you're seeing clearly again. It feels like over the last season, you have been coming to a new truth about yourself, which may well separate you from some of the ideas you had about yourself historically. That's definitely something you're learning right now with the South Node here, and you're tapping into a new version of yourself that's a lot more spiritual, a lot more expanded, and a lot less fixed on one or two outcomes. And it is a process of reorientation. And so at the end of the week, I just feel like you're coming into the acceptance of it, and doesn't that feel great? So I hope that's helpful for you in understanding these energies. And if you like the way I talk about this and want a bit more, then consider membership, or maybe consider working with me on a monthly basis, where we can pull your chart apart and reconstruct it and look at your potential from all sorts of different angles. If you join my membership, I'm delivering training 3 times a week, so you can learn about astrology at a much deeper level. We grab our charts and we look intensely at similar things at the same time. Or I can look at your chart with you, and we can go on a learning process together. So have a think about that if it sounds good. And if you want to get in touch, feel free. All of my details are below. They're also on my channel page, and I look forward to working with you. Anyway, have a fabulous week ahead, and hopefully catch up with you all soon. Lots of love.